Today you're in for a treat. I interviewed the incredibly talented Linh Tran, whom I admire greatly for her gift for storytelling, her passion for learning, and her kind heart which gets her far in the industry. Tran is a Vietnamese-born filmmaker and director who ventured to the US Midwest in pursuit of higher education in 2013. Beginning her artistic journey in theater acting, she later found her passion in creating compelling documentary and fictional films, drawing inspiration from her own childhood and experiences of coming of age. Holding an MFA degree in film and TV from DePaul University, her talent and dedication culminated in her directorial debut, Waiting for the Light to Change, a narrative feature film about a 20-something character named Amy. Over the course of a week-long beachside getaway, Amy, having recently undergone dramatic weight loss, finds herself wrestling between loyalty to her best friend Kim and her attraction to Kim's new boyfriend. This film earned Tran the prestigious Grand Jury Prize at Slamdance Film Festival and was recently acquired by Freestyle Digital Media for an eagerly anticipated late October release. Learn more about the film on its IMDb page and catch screening announcements on Ling's Instagram, @LingTran, spelled @LNHTRNN. Let's jump right in. Thank you. It's so great to have you on the podcast. We got to meet at Slamdance Film Festival this year, where your film, Waiting for the Light to Change, has done so well. I would love for you to tell listeners a little bit about the film and your experience at Slamdance, if you don't mind.
So Waiting for the Light to Change is my first feature film. And I made it when I was a film student at DePaul University in Chicago. And it was a micro-budget film made by students for $20,000. And it was like such a great surprise to be a selection at Slamdance this year. And it was my first time in Park City as well. It was like really overwhelming, but at the same time, like super fun and inspiring experience. And I got to see a lot of other filmmakers' films, yours included, which really moved me a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And overall, I think, it was like a surprise to win as well, like considering how awesome everybody's movies are. And since then, it's been quite a journey. And, I'm very grateful for being a part of the Slamdance community or like the indie filmmakers community here in the Midwest.
Yeah, no, it's incredible that you made that film for $20,000. It speaks to your skill level as a director and a filmmaker and a writer. So for folks who don't know, your film ended up winning the Narrative Feature Grand Jury Prize at Slamdance, which is such a huge deal. And I remember being at that awards ceremony and, oh my gosh, the energy in the room was insane. So it was so cool to see, a fellow Chicago Midwest girl, win one of the awards at Slamdance. Like, that was insane. So now you've made a film that has won incredible awards at, world-renowned film festivals. It's safe to say that, you're a successful filmmaker and you have your own thriving production company, and you're clearly doing a lot to plug into the film industry pipeline and network. It's a lot of hard work, and oftentimes it can be, filmmaking can be lonely with little reward. It's not always as glamorous as people may think it is, thinking of Hollywood and all of that. So I'm curious, when was the moment you knew you wanted to pursue this career?
I don't think there was a defining moment. Mm-hmm. But my trajectory was, I don't know, I started out in theater. I was actually attending DePaul University in Indiana because there was a big theater department there. And actually, the first class I took in college was acting, which I only did that because the classes I wanted to take was full. But that ended up changing my life, I guess. And I was in theater for a while, and then I was starting to take classes in film studies. I feel like it's a thing where you learn more about something, and then you learn to love it, and you realize that, this might be something that I cannot live without doing. Mm-hmm. So I think probably around junior year of college is when I thought I wanted to make movies. It's kind of strange because I grew up in Vietnam and our family is not very, I mean, people have like artistic, energies, but none of us pursued an artistic career.
Mm.
And I didn't actually watch a lot of movies as a kid. So I started like trying to catch up, just watching a lot of movies since my junior year in college. I mean, I'm still doing like the same thing as I was doing in college right now, where I'm like, oh, I need to like keep reading, keep watching, keep like trying to learn about the world around me and about myself. And I think that itself like makes filmmaking even more exciting as a career. And I mean, it is not an easy path, and it's hard to maintain like a healthy lifestyle being a filmmaker or like being a young filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like trying my best, and I think it's working out a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you expand upon what you mean as like it's hard to maintain a healthy lifestyle as a filmmaker?
I think it's because like in the beginning of my career, which is like right now, I like most of the time like, you don't really get to direct like passion projects for pay. Like so most of the time you work really hard. There's no money. Maybe you even like have to like put your own money into the projects as well. And filmmaking could be very personal, very stressful. And when I'm on set, usually like, everybody knows it's like super long days. Sometimes they're overnights. Like your biological clock just like go crazy sometimes. And there are a lot of like habits that I myself just like personally like adopted that I don't feel like I should do. For example, I stay up super late. Yeah. And like other things like, oh, you don't eat on time, you eat whenever you can. And like there's like also like smoking and things like that. I mean, it is possible though to maintain a healthy lifestyle. One just needs to try harder. I am not trying hard enough.
No, I think it is incredibly difficult because this industry is, like you said, built on long hours and low pay, and you're often doing passion projects for free or you have to pay to do them. Like, I feel like you hit the nail on the head. I feel validated as a filmmaker, like hearing your experience, because I've had very similar experiences. So I think that's helpful for listeners to hear about, like before taking the leap into filmmaking, to know like, there is, I don't know the right word for it, but like an overworked, underpaid culture most of the time. I mean, of course, you can create a healthier culture around it in your own filmmaking world, but it's just important to like keep in mind that there are some of those barriers. And I loved your story about how like you were in theater and you just happened to fall into filmmaking because the class you wanted to take was full. Like it seems so serendipitous and meant to be. And I'm sure there are people out there who can relate to just feeling like you fell into film and now it's something you can't live without. So that's really cool to hear about. And I'm curious, you've taken us through your career a little bit from the beginning, but how do you feel like it's morphed and evolved? And how did you start your production company and what do you do with that?
So about like how I have evolved over the years, I think the subject matter that I'm like concerned about is still like the same. Like my philosophy in filmmaking is literally just very, very simple. Just stick to what you know and like trying to be as honest as possible with like storytelling and doing it with a mission. I'm not like in a vacuum like working on this art. It's more like, I'm here, I'm telling stories because I feel like I'm compelled to do it, first of all. But also my goal has always been, I want to make a movie like for audience like my family members to see and relate and, and could feel some of that catharsis, I guess. But one thing that has changed since the beginning, I guess just the community around me. Before, I like definitely felt really lonely, unrewarded a lot of the times when I just like first started out. But I have like started working with more people And like by doing that, like finding the people that I really, really vibe with and just forming a tribe. So even if like, oh, the world out there doesn't give us like a lot to, to work this art, but we can like be here for one another, and that's like really important. I think it's all about like stamina, having these people around like to share ideas, like bounce ideas off of, collaborate with, and like be there to cheer you on, and you do the same for them. It is so meaningful, and I feel like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the people and the friends in films that I made along the way. So the production company we have is me with two of my best friends, and we are actually just like at the moment we're just producing projects by us right now. And I think the company right now like represent kind of like a brand that we're like creating of quality filmmaking and how international we are. But we really want to like expand and work with more people. But everything is moving slowly but surely. Yeah.
That's great. I mean, if it's moving too quickly, you'd burn out. I mean, I love to hear you talk about how important community is in the filmmaking world. I totally agree. And I think sometimes when you're just starting out, it can be really intimidating to try to start that community or find your people. Do you have any advice for how to do that, or best places or best networks to tap into?
When I started film school, I took all the positions that I could find on like a set. Like no matter if I thought it was hard, like it doesn't really matter. Like no position is like below me, like I just want to learn from other people just on set, like how they exercise their like leadership skills, or like how a set is run, and how to like work together as well. So like a lot of like observation. I'm a director too, so I'm like I just like watch people a lot. And just like I try my best to like realize, I think this is someone that I really want to get to know and really want to learn like things from. And they probably have like a personality that like I vibe with, so I guess it's like getting out there a lot. And I try to not be like too shy or like insecure, which I think everybody feels that from time to time. But I think people really appreciate like sincerity and honesty. So that's what I try to be all the time, just like being kind to other people and to yourself, and just make yourself available and reliable for things that people need. Because at the end of the day, I feel like going on set, doing like these jobs, you learn so much, and there's going to be something that help you like down the line.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Just your eagerness to learn, I think, is something really special about you that I admire a lot, because there can be big egos in film, people who think they don't have anything to learn and that they know it all. So just leading with learning, I think, is so powerful. You mentioned like taking every position on set that you can, taking every gig that you could. Does that sometimes lead to like unpaid work? And if so, how do you support yourself? Because I think that's a very common conundrum people might find themselves in as they're starting out.
So I was working a lot on student film sets because I was a student and I wanted to connect with my peers. So most of the sets I was on was actually unpaid. Mm-hmm. And I was like, honestly, totally fine with that. I think the struggle is transitioning from that kind of culture inside film school outside to after you graduate and become like a professional, then how does one go from working unpaid all the time to like knowing how much you are worth? Like mm-hmm. After school, I was like, oh, I don't know like how much my rate should be. Like, like someone came to me with a job and I'm like, I don't know. I just like didn't feel confident enough in my skills to like say a number that I thought I deserved. And then I found out that my roommate was on the same job and like got paid this much. And these are the things that you learn. Like mm-hmm. It's like a trial and error kind of process. I work freelance as an editor. So that's how I support myself now. Still working on some projects which I'm like believing in and with my friends, or I feel like, oh, there's something like really great I could learn from this project. But of course, as time like goes on, like I have to be a little bit more selective with these kind of projects. And that's very natural, I think. There's this thing that I believe where, like it's like an investment. Like I work a lot on my projects without any pay, but, I'm almost like practicing. I'm practicing my skills and I'm prepping myself. And it's the investment of time and energy that might or might not like pay off in the future. But if you don't like give it a shot, I think it's never gonna happen. It's a lot of juggling, I say, like almost like having like 3 different jobs.
Yeah, definitely. And I appreciate you sharing all of that. I think, I really wish the money conversation wasn't so taboo to talk about, because like you said, I experienced the same thing where I didn't know what to charge, what my rate should be after I graduated from college. And it really is just a learn as you go experience, and, making friends who you can ask, what are you making on this gig? And it's kind of a puzzle. Like you have to get all the pieces and put it together yourself. But I appreciate you talking about that, because hopefully we can, make cultural steps forward to more pay transparency. And I agree that like investing in yourself by doing some of the more unpaid work, or like doing a passion project unpaid, can really give you like the freedom to explore and experiment without the pressure of, oh crap, someone's paying me for this, I have to do a perfect job on it. Like you can play around. So I'm curious, you come from Vietnam, what inspired you to come to Chicago and Indiana and the Midwest, and why do you feel like it's a good place to pursue your career?
Well, I didn't know that I wanted to be a filmmaker. And honestly, I was like 17. So I also didn't know where. I didn't know anything. So I think it's a series of like events that led me to Indiana for like college. But I'm glad that I went to the school that I went to, because it was a liberal art college. I was free to like explore a lot of things. And how I came to film is just like through a series of discoveries. And because Chicago is so close, maybe LA is too expensive right now, or maybe I could be here. And instead of being so stressed out about money all the time, I could use that energy to create something. I think that was like my reason when I moved to Chicago. And I have to say, DePaul University in Chicago has given me so much. I mean, the Midwest is definitely an interesting place. I'm from a smaller city in Vietnam, so I understand the sentiment of like a smaller territory in a country. So I understand the sentiment a lot, which is why I think I am quite comfortable in Chicago. Chicago is like pretty big too. There's going to be like more productions happening. And I think it's like a great place to start a career, because it's not so like saturated and it's not so overwhelming. And because like we're small enough, the sense of community, I think, is like a little bit tighter. So at some point, I might move back to Vietnam. I'm also making friends there. I might move to either New York or LA. I don't know yet. Again, I always try to like see what happens next. This month, I might be thinking I'm moving to LA, but next month, who knows?
No, I really appreciate that perspective, because I think a lot of folks might assume that they have to have things figured out and have to have the path forward planned to a T. And you're living proof that you can, play it by ear and feel things out. And you don't have to go to New York or LA right away. And I totally agree that Chicago is an amazing place to start a filmmaking career, just because of, it's a small enough community where you can make a difference in it, but it's big enough that there are resources and productions and lots happening. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. This next question I like to ask people, just because I know our industry can base a lot of its validation on merit and awards and stuff like that. But I'm curious, how do you define success for you?
Oh my God, that is a loaded question.
Yeah, I know. And it's okay if you don't know.
I think success for me is being able to support yourself doing what you love, and especially for filmmakers and creators, I think also for me to like make a little bit of difference in somebody's life. Just maybe it's just like they feel like related to a character that I created, or like after seeing a movie that I make, they call their mom or something. I don't know. It's like things like that. So in that way, I feel like I've gone a little bit of it, but in the supporting yourself financially doing what you love, I'm like not quite there yet.
It's so hard.
Yeah,
it takes a while. Yeah. But I love that you've taken, a marketable skill like video editing and turned that into a way to support yourself while you're also pursuing like production work and filmmaking outside of that. I think that's really smart.
Absolutely. And I think editing also helps with my directing a lot. Because, again, it's like you're just like watching people act a lot. And like I think editors would make really good like directors, at least for like performances, because they have to watch people so much. And like then once you do that enough, I feel like you can tell a good performance, like what a good performance is. So yeah, I'm glad that I don't have to like do something that is totally unrelated to film for pay. So yeah, I'm pretty happy, I think.
Well, this last question I have, you can interpret it however you'd like, but thinking about our listenership and how a lot of people listening are emerging creatives in the entertainment and TV and film industry, do you have any advice for someone who's interested in pursuing a career similar to yours?
Oh, I don't know if I can give advice. I need advice myself. But if I have to say something from my experience too, I think it's like, first of all, like be kind to yourself is like a big thing. And like patience. Because I feel like it's not the kind of career that is going to happen overnight. Maybe for some people, but for the majority of us, I feel like it's happening like really, really slowly. In order for your dream to like not die, I feel like you need to, be kind to yourself and, be like, try to be the healthiest, like the mentally, spiritually, and understand that this is going to take probably a long time and it's going to suck for a while.
No, that's such wise advice. Just know what you're getting into and pace yourself, because otherwise, like, there's so much burnout in this industry. So I think what you're saying is so smart and really helpful for people to hear from someone who's experiencing a lot of success in the industry. So thank you so much for being on the podcast and sharing your perspective and your journey. It's been such a joy to listen to your story and learn from you. And I wish you all the success moving forward.
Thank you so much. I wish you the same thing.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed hearing about Lean's filmmaking pursuits. I really admire her hunger for learning, how she's always watching movies, reading about film, and practicing her craft, not just to get better at filmmaking, but to keep her passion alive. I especially love her eagerness to learn on set and how she took on every role she could in college so that she could get a comprehensive idea of how a film set is run and how each person plays a key role in a successful final product. Thanks again, Lean. All the best to you, and thank you, listeners, for tuning in. This has been The Pursuit, a Natus Junior Board podcast.